Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Paladins Update Showcase. It's been a while, but we are back and excited to be with you here. My name's Rain Day, and it's OB66, the patch you all have been waiting for. Let's introduce who's going to be joining us for today. We got some old faces, we got some new faces, and some old new faces. We'll see who that ends up being. Of course, we've got High Res Martini, Garrett Martini, our lead.
How's it going, everyone?
Paladins. Glad to have you back, man. And of course, we have High Res Chris.
Hello.
Chris Larson joining with us. It's been a great transition having you come from, well, let me leave this to you, from Smite, because you've been around this more than anybody.
Yep.
Talk to me about just joining us here on this.
Yeah, so I've been with High Res over 12 years. I was the one of the first 5 people in the company.
Wow. 5 club.
Started out as a programmer and got through Global Agenda days, then started on Smite back in 2010. And yeah, so from there on, I was the executive producer for Smite,
right.
And Paladins needed some help, so now I'm here.
And you've been guiding that ship for Smite for so long. A lot of the Smite fans were really sad to see you go. I know that Reddit post, the Twit longers, a lot of people were upset. But for us in the Paladins community, this is a great thing to have Chris on board. So, you know, for me, one of the big questions is, what are our 2018 goals here for Paladins with you now?
Yeah. So, I mean, I think the biggest thing is to make sure that we have higher quality releases. So we're going to make a lot of focus over the next couple patches on bug fixing, quality of life features that the community have been asking for. I know Garrett's pretty tied into the community, so he's been feeding me the huge documents of missing features.
Decimal sensitivity.
That came in.
Yeah, that came in. So
already huge changes.
Right. So in Smite, we had this community-like commitment called Project Olympus, which we did just a lot of focus. We were pushing out a lot of content, and we were doing great on that end, but we started losing focus on the quality of life issues that the community was bringing up. So I hope that we can kind of bring some of the lessons learned that we did there and bring them to Paladins.
I mean, I think the community, that's a breath of fresh air in terms of there's so much community involvement. There's such a passionate community around Paladins. We all know that. We don't have to say it, but I think a lot of people will be really excited to hear that.
Yep.
And again, that kind of brings us to where we are, OB66.
Yeah.
What's going on in this patch?
So much.
Give us a high view. What do we have to expect?
Right. So it's been 5 weeks since we patched, right? It's been a long time. It
feels like years, Chris. It feels like years. I'm not going to lie.
It's the entire time that I've actually been here.
And it's been a while since I've been.
So, Battlegrounds, we have the new map.
That's right.
Obviously, everyone's probably
It's gorgeous.
Yeah, seen it, at least on PTS at this point. We've been doing a lot of PTSing because it takes a big group of people to be able to
Takes a
test the
village.
map. Takes a village.
A couple villages.
The other thing that we've been working on is a graphical update to Paladins.
Wow.
So our native textures in Paladins is actually authored at 2K.
Okay.
But our game would down-res it to 1K.
Huh.
So now if you're on the top 2 graphical settings, you will be seeing the full glory of the Paladins art.
The full glory.
2K.
It's pretty glorious.
The full glory of Makoa.
Go check out Fernando.
Yeah,
right.
Check out Fernando.
It's beautiful.
So good. We've also been working on 3P and making sure that experience feels good for the Paladins game. So we've gone through animations. I know Garrett's been working on the camera positioning for each character. Abilities that just didn't feel great in 3P. We made some, a few changes. Not anything that would change the actual abilities themselves, but just how they feel in the game.
Yep.
Yeah, and that's I don't know. There's probably a couple other things. Oh yeah, we fixed like close to 100 bugs that are in live.
I mean,
right
just
now.
a little,
Yeah,
here or there.
We'll talk about them later.
Yeah,
we'll talk about
no big deal.
And then because we're working on this huge map, we had to do some graphical updates for performance, obviously, and those actually go beyond Battlegrounds. The whole game will see some benefit.
Wow.
To that.
Markedly, it's really impressive.
Yep.
Wow. I mean, if anyone's been following the PTS from what is about to be released, the changes and the quickness of those changes, the velocity with which they occurred was pretty remarkable. And I think hats off to everyone who worked their butts off in the studio and all the guys who, like you two, kept the ship steering in the right direction. It was not easy, but it's made us very excited to be at this moment to discuss what we have coming for you. And that kind of does lead us to the big marquee talking point. OB66 Paladins Battlegrounds will be released. It is officially announced right now. You can stop asking me in streams. It is coming in OB66. And we've got Hi-Rez Martini as well, kind of the expert who's been at the beginning of that charge and now at the end to be able to break it down and give us a high level and even a granular level of what's coming.
Guys, we are super happy to kind of bring this to you. As Evan mentioned, even in the PTS, seen this market evolution. It's been very fast. It's had a lot of momentum over kind of all these improvements that have been made, and we think we have something truly special. Now,
And I will say that one thing, the devs have been like clamoring to like play on PTS all the time.
Yeah.
Like,
yes.
Like no other patch probably has had as much like dev participation.
I mean,
how many wins do you have, Rain Day? Just say how many wins you have.
I've actually lost track.
It's too many to count. I can't hold all these wins.
When you get 17 in a day, and it's just another day at the office. I mean, it becomes hard to keep track. No, but truly though, I've seen that in devs getting in on watching streams.
Yep.
And I mean, gosh, Chris, I'm sure you almost said, should I start streaming this?
I know, right? I mean, if you want to see someone really bad, I mean,
the
tune
now
into mine.
Chris,
your experience.
You bring all of the effort
and
all of the passion.
Yeah.
Yes.
I bring the front line and the support.
Yes.
There it is.
Yes.
Right?
Are you a Ying main?
Like
what do you main in Paladins,
I mean, I like Fernando a lot.
Okay.
But I play mostly Ing, Genos.
Okay.
The staples.
The staples. Yeah. There it is. So obviously we've been having a lot of fun with this, and I think, Garrett, one of the best things for people, because if you haven't been around in PTS, and some people haven't, what is Paladins Battlegrounds? We heard the announcement at HRX, and now we've been seeing all this action and talk about it. Why don't you give us kind of an overview of the basics of the mode and what people can expect?
Yep. So with Paladins Battlegrounds, we're going to take 100 players, throw them into this brand new, gorgeous cinematic landscape, and have you guys fight to be the last 1 to 4 men or women standing. It's by far one of the best experiences to date that we've kind of implemented and developed for the game, and really just makes the product as a whole truly better. It brings something that's unique. It's going to offer an experience that our existing users are going to identify with as something that's truly Paladins, while at the same time capturing a lot of the magic of this kind of just exciting Royale style and mode. Now, we still have all of your classes, all of your characters, all of your roles, really hitting on that team play, coming in, working these firefights, doing what supports do in a firefight, doing what front lines do in a firefight, doing what damages and flanks do in a firefight, but on just a much more grandiose scale. No longer is it like,
great work.
Oh, I am on this point. This is my point. Now it's, oh, I'm in this village. We're holding off this choke point. This death fog is closing in, and I'm sitting here like taking people down. I lost my team. People are turning into chickens left and right. And I'm like, what is happening? And then at the end of it, after the dust settles, it kind of just like, it's like this moment of clarity where it's like, it's me.
Yeah.
We won.
I really like our chicken mechanic too, right? That's unique to the Battle Royale genre,
so perfect.
Right?
It's so perfect, and the fact that Pip has been turning people into chickens for so long, and now we get to use it in such a way that just feels so good.
Yeah.
It brings something new.
We're using a different chicken.
It is absolutely a different
We used
chicken.
to use the Pip chicken in the beginning, but
now we have a
special chicken.
Yes.
We have its own chicken.
As it should be. As it should be.
We've expanded the poultry inventory of Paladins.
It almost feels like there's a black market sale going on for Pip's chicken potion. It finally got out, finally got sold.
Yeah.
Yes.
The vibranium hit the black market, and then you see what I did there?
Yeah, I see what you did there.
And then now it's finally able to be a widespread thing. So obviously the chicken mechanic, when you go down, you turn into a chicken. Unlike a lot of BRs where you would have to revive your teammate, you can actually self-revive in Paladins Battlegrounds if you stay and have a life as a chicken that's away from all the danger. Also, teammates can help you revive.
That's right.
And there's a lot of mechanics that make not only the fact that this is the only hero shooter battle royale out in the market today, but the fact that cards and legendaries also play a big factor in determining where you fight and where those engagements take place, and really encourage a lot of fast-paced action and not hiding in bathtubs.
Yeah, it's amazing how intense our battle royale is. So one of the more granular mechanics is that as you take down bad guys in the royale mode, you actually get stronger. Like, not by looting their corpses. Yes, you can do that, but there's an inherent mechanic that when I defeat an enemy, I actually get an increase to my personal stats on my character, be it damage or health. Now, what this does is it forces a lot of fighting. It encourages a lot of fighting.
That's right.
Kind of.
Now, if you chicken, you lose those bonuses.
That's correct. That's
so
correct.
it is really on the kill streak.
That's right.
Absolutely. It is absolutely a kill streak mechanic that incentivizes active playing, not hiding, getting out there, taking down bad guys in this crazy, wacky mode. And it leads to a lot of awesome things.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how many personal... Now, okay, just because the magic of Battle Royale is that you just remember all these beautiful little kind of like fights that you have.
You really do.
You do. It's like you remember each one. And I can tell you one specifically. Chris, I'm so sorry, but I'm going to tell people about your little Fernando. I think it might have been the first game
Not
Chris
starting
played.
off well. Your
Yeah.
little Fernando,
Yeah.
not
No,
a very
little
nice.
Fernando.
No, we're like
Claim to
last
fame
two
there.
teams. Last two teams present. Okay, Chris is on my team. We're feeling good. We're
Right.
feeling good. We got some streaks going. Chris sees in the distance. He spots this Genos at like half health.
Yeah.
And this is a
He needed to die.
Yeah, he needed to die.
Chris says,
and
"That
Chris
man's
is like,
going down."
I'm Fernando. I gotta go get in range, so
That's right.
I'm gonna book it. I'm like, Chris, wait. I think I was even the healer.
Yeah.
It's like, Chris, you're too fast. And he's like, I want it.
I
And
think
he
I had like 20%
He
most
had that
speed.
Yes,
Fernando
yes.
fireball movement speed.
Oh, yeah.
after
Oh, yeah.
throws
He was
it, it's
thirsty.
zooming.
He wanted to take down that Genos, but this Genos, this was the best executed bait I have ever seen in
Oh
Paladins.
my gosh, I got
Because
so-
he gets within
so
void
owned.
grit range of Genos. Chris, he's Fernando, he's gunning for it, and he just slowly rises into the air. Chris is like, what? And then from the buildings behind him, like 3 Genos through space and time, step into the light times 3 because you can stack characters in this mode, which is also a new mechanic. Comes in, Chris probably poops his pants right there, and then just
Well,
vaporize. Okay, I'm sorry.
I think what really happened was
wow,
I was
Garrett,
yelling
that's
at
too much
where,
info at this
where's
point.
he
my
was
team?
he was wearing where's my team.
You know, where's my effing
Where's
team?
my team, guys?
The flanking
Right?
Fernando was very concerned about where his teammates
Chris,
were.
that's about 7,000 damage at every point of an instance in that position that you could have taken. I don't think your team could have probably helped you unless you had another Fernando that
You'd
was giving you
think
an
I would
immortal.
have learned something about positioning and smite.
You think?
But obviously that did not translate well.
They were just
to
tired of
Paladins.
you beating everyone in the playtest, Chris. They're like,
Oh, right.
put this guy on
Yeah.
Paladins.
That's
put this
right.
guy on.
But mobile players, don't be scared. We still want you to come and try out Paladins Battlegrounds.
Yes.
We do think that positioning, and one of the things I've noticed, positioning is very important.
Oh,
in
it's
this
so
game.
key.
And if you are coming from games that really value positioning, sometimes over that first-person shooter, just hit, scan, aim, you could still really do well in Paladins Battlegrounds. You can succeed. I find that most of it is not about how good you are in fights, but selecting the fights that you take and determining your success.
It's tactical, but it's also
Yeah.
mechanical.
Yeah.
It's truly something that existing players are going to love and new players are going to enjoy. So it's
Yeah.
Awesome.
It's I've had some awesome fights.
Yeah. It's going to be great. We have a video that we're working on so that when people do launch it out and we do get it out here in OB66, you'll be able to know the basics right away from a very high-level perspective. Obviously, you are out there. You drop as a team. You loot item chests, which contain the same items in Paladins that you'll find, whether it's Chronos
right.
or Morale
That's
boost.
right. Different
You'll be
ranks
able
of
to
them.
rank up different levels depending on the rarity of those chests. And then throughout that, you kind of use those things, maybe a little early master writing to get to some card shrines. Now, how do those
Well, what's a card shrine?
What are those card shrines?
Yep.
How does that work, and how does that relate to the normal game of Paladins?
Yeah, I got, I think, a little carried away in my storytelling.
It's okay. I
wanna-
love the story.
You brought me
I
back.
love the story.
You brought me back, Evan. So
That's my job.
The basic format, right, is 100 players come into this map. You're
Right.
going to randomly deploy somewhere in this massive continent, and then after a certain brief period of time, giant circles are going to spawn and shrink and eliminate players that are caught in the blue. And your job as a player is to eliminate other players and make it to the very center where all these kind of like engagements are going to be forced to happen. And all the while this is occurring, you are, as you mentioned, looting chests and finding these card shrines that are going to empower you in a very different ways. So chests, as you touched on, are going to spawn all terrain and all the POIs and points of interest, and houses and cathedrals and castles and ruins and snowbanks and jaguar statues. Like it's amazing. The map's beautiful. I can't
it's
say it
amazing.
enough. But so you're looting these chests and you're looting Chronos, you're looting Cauterize, you're looting Wrecker.
Right.
Based on, and then we also tell you like, and even before you get into the game, guys, it's a random subset of characters even that you can choose from. So it's not all characters initially.
Right.
It's like in this Battlegrounds mode,
Two of each
right, 2 of each class.
archetype.
Yeah, 2 of each role.
Yep.
But it's RNG every time. So your playscape is going to change. What's going to counter what will change. If like, oh man, like maybe I want to go the sniper on this route, but there's like these really aggressive, effective flanks and front lines that might be up, or it's going to be like, oh god, like they're actually maybe it's like all projectile characters. There's bomb, and the instant fire champions are lower. So based on that is going to kind of inform what you want to take from those chests.
Right.
And we tell you in game on the HUD too.
Right. Well, the pro tip is
give us the strats.
We have a mini.
From the Fernando that got boy gripped
like I'm so good that I need to give you the pro strats. Right?
Listen here.
Here's a professional tip.
We have a mini map now, which is unique to Battlegrounds.
Right. Yes.
If you hit the tab key, you'll be able to see like kind of where you are, where the fog is coming in. In the future, you'll be able to ping the map like you can in Smite.
Beautiful.
That was one of the feature requests that came in a little bit late, but that will be added. But you'll also see how many which classes are still alive on the map. So, like for example, let's just say there was 4 Grovers and they were, owning it up, right? Well, you're going to want to get the anti-healing and pick those up in the chest to counter that team that is obviously dominating.
Right. It's a whole nother level of tactics and awareness. And at this point, obviously, you guys have so much information that can come through this. But the best way to get this info that I've found,
Play the game.
Have fun. Play. You will learn all the intricacies. There are going to be a lot of people streaming. I know myself will be out there.
I'll be playing all day tomorrow.
Chris will be playing all day tomorrow.
All day.
I'm pretty sure everyone will be playing all day tomorrow,
That's
and
right.
we'll be really excited to answer questions. So feel free to search somebody out, and then obviously this discussion will continue. But Paladins Battlegrounds coming out in OB66. It's going to be fantastic, and we cannot wait to get it to you guys. So more on that soon, but for now, we got to keep moving on. We still got more stuff.
There's so much
We had
stuff.
so much to talk about that.
There is.
I guess we'll just
I can keep going.
Yeah, you could go on. Don't you have a Dev Insight coming out or soon?
Yeah, tomorrow.
Okay, so we'll have
No, sorry, Thursday.
Thursday. So more stuff on that Thursday at the Dev Insight. So pay attention to that. Now let's go into something that's a little interesting. We've had a change to collections. Garrett, why don't you take the lead on what's going on there?
So kind of throughout Paladins, we've been trying to tune how we kind of divvy out and give out skins and offer them to our players. And what we've landed on is basically that now when we design a character skin, you're just going to, like, straight up, no matter how it's going to be given out, you're going to receive the whole thing. So no more like, oh god, I have like this Kinessa body, but I want the matching Kinessa weapon, but it's in the separate chest, or I have to roll it in the same one. Now it's just like, if you roll it in a chest, if you buy it straight up, you're just going to get the whole thing.
That way you can be outfitted.
Simpler, easy to understand, and there's less problems of like, well, I have the gun that I got through this other means, and then I'm rolling the skin chest, and it's giving me dupe, and it's like,
When I first started playing Paladins, that plushie Makoa, that thing was my arch nemesis.
Right?
Yep.
I mean, you could get the eyes, but not the body. The body, but not the
eyes.
Just so ridiculous.
Yeah. So now you can just get it, and this will obviously, hopefully, eliminate some of the current frustrations and make it a much better experience for players who are just looking to get that skin that they get really excited about. And there are some in this patch that you should get excited about.
Oh god.
Talking about plushie Makoa, Chris, I don't know if you knew that, or if you're just a segue master.
No, I'm
in the future. That is now the VIP rotation. We are introducing plushie Makoa.
That is correct.
I actually did not know that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Good job, though.
Natural.
Yeah.
He's just a natural.
He's a natural talent.
Yep.
We should keep you around.
Yep. You can stay.
Sure.
So, obviously, plushie Makoa, that's exciting. So, for your VIP rotation.
Look, you got one right next to you.
I have it. This guy is Cuddles.
Oh, my God.
Wow.
I really have been working on this voice.
That voice was really good.
Let me tell you, Battlegrounds, Makoa, this guy, I got something to show you guys later on. It's actually coming out today. I got
Don't plug your. Okay.
I'm just saying, you're going to see some 1v5 action. It's going to be pretty outrageous with this guy. 4 legendaries on this guy. Let's see what that looks like.
Yep.
Of course, we got Kinessa as well having an adjustment, and this is actually kind of cool. It's a new base weapon for her coming through.
Yeah, she's getting just a little visual touch-up.
Okay.
Yep.
So that'll be nice for her. And then we have a new cosmetic chest that's being one of our favorites in the past, returning. So I wouldn't say new. It's just more of coming back again for its second time around the loop. It's the wrecked chest that will be reintroduced back into Paladins. So many people ask me, when is that coming back? When is that coming back? And it's also got an addition of Lex getting some wrecked stingers, which he didn't have beforehand.
Oh yeah, some new pistols right there for you guys. Also, we're putting the full character skin of the kind of
Drogos.
Yeah, the Drogos DR1Z or what the acronym is for it. But he's gonna fit nicely in there with all the other content, and you can get the new Lex pistols as well.
Well, that's pretty exciting stuff. Now we get to get into some of the skins that I think people want to see. Those are the chests. Those are the VIP rotations.
We got some goodies.
We got some goodies. We got some really, really cool stuff. First off, on the list, we have Victor, who is going to get a Reaver skin. We are going to take a look at this in game, and we also have some splash art to show you guys. But as you can see, pretty dramatic.
He's looking real mean. He's looking real mean over here.
Yeah,
He's
I love the green.
And the nature of this bad boy right here is that he is because this is kind of a take on what we've had previously, but he's going to be a bit of a harder chase item, kind of refresh the gold chest for you.
Okay.
For you guys. But he's looking real mean green, fighting machine.
Mean green, lean fighting machine. He is eating his protein, and he is having himself a heck of a time. We are actually not going to go in-game on this one. I apologize for misspeaking there. That was actually my bad. But we will be going on in-game on this next one, which you guys should be excited about. It's one of our favorite snipers, getting some love. So Kinessa gets a new base weapon. Strix.
Little bit Strix.
Little Strix.
Gets himself a little bit of an infiltrator.
Strix
skin.
on BG, though.
That's the real deal.
That's the real deal.
He is the real deal.
That's the real deal.
And if you win with Strix in BG rocking this bad boy,
yeah.
Woo.
I mean,
That's a gameplay right there. Post that to.
Oh my gosh.
Wow.
That is a.
his 1P, just.
It feels good, right?
Is so good.
Ooh.
And I've been. Oh, baby. So it's got sci-fi
Fire that.
effects.
Oh my gosh.
The pistol sounds so cybernetic. It's like a pulse
That thing's
weapon fire.
ridiculous.
Dude, it feels so good lighting
Adam's
people up
team
with
really
that.
knocked this out of the park.
Yeah,
You know?
they killed it. They killed it. The textures. Oh god, the sound too. It's still tactile. It's still visceral. At the same time, being that kind of sci-fi element. It's so. Can we fire the Talon rifle a couple times? Oh, and the flare's got like a little sonar pulse.
That's beautiful.
Oh, gorgeous.
Stealth, the zoom, the flare, the Talon rifle here.
Let him have it.
Boom.
Yup. Boom.
Wow.
Boom.
That's
Them headshots, though.
Yes. Yes.
What a skilled player. Who is it?
So talented.
Derp Diggler? Oh my god. Are you free to squad later?
Because
like
Battlegrounds is coming out, and
I could always use a sniper.
Yep.
All right, well, good stuff there. Of course, this comes with a voice pack as well.
Absolutely.
To give Strix that even more infiltrate-y feel. That's not a word, but this is a voice pack, so let's take a listen to that when we can. I hear it's a little low.
I don't hear anything.
It's a little low. I think we just got to turn the volume up on that one, but...
We also toggle to a 3P, just pop C and rotate around this bad boy.
And this is where I've been playing a lot of my Battlegrounds, actually trying to get used to it.
Oh yeah, look at the texture on the cape, like.
Targets eliminated.
What do we call this, like, infiltrator?
Infiltrator. Yep.
Infiltrator.
It's kind of an
Mission
homage to
completed.
a certain popular.
Yeah, in another game I used to work on.
Yes.
I'm
Boom.
gone.
And gone.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
A mile away or point blank.
He's a
Either
badass.
way, you're dead.
Oh yeah, he's a little bit of a badass. He's got kind of this Jason Statham thing going, like universal hitman.
The payload. Clean
And I think this is awesome for
quiet.
Strix because I've been playing. He's so popular in terms of, I think, being played in Battlegrounds whenever he's available, and this gives him that really kind of, I hate to say it, gives him a very badass feel. And I don't hate to say it, but I just think it's a great thing to note.
Oh my, who is this?
What is this?
Talking about
Is this a mirror?
looking bad. And this is Michael Jackson bad right
Smite.
here.
Yeah.
We've got the Jotun Terminus skin coming in.
Oh man, I wish I was good
Look at that
this movie.
axe. Look at that. Oh,
It's going to make you be a Terminus.
that axe
main
is
in
heavy.
Battlegrounds.
That is a heavy axe, my friend.
Now, did you see the team of 4 Terminus?
Yeah.
That,
That's
like,
scary.
They just wrecked.
Oh, man. We had some pros teamed up. Master Riding 3, and then just 4 Terminuses with the Shatterfall Legendary that stuns you for about 2 seconds. And it was, there was no doubt in my mind they were going to win that game, and they certainly did.
Oh my gosh, look at the frost just like collecting. Boom.
You know, I know someone who's a similar height, similar race as him, who also has an ice skin.
Yeah.
And I feel like that would be really nice to pair with a buddy in Battlegrounds, do a good duo.
Heck
Be a good
yeah.
combo. Be a
Yeah.
good combo. Yep. Yeah, no, this is beautiful skin, beautiful theme. I can't wait to see this axe cleaving across the battlefield. It was just really funny, right? Because when the idea of Battlegrounds came about, everyone was like, oh god, Terminus, like, never gonna pick this character. And then that video you just mentioned, it comes through and you're like, oh god.
Oh, God, he's OP.
That was awesome.
Yep.
Well, I feel like everyone is not experimented with tanks enough. They scale so well off the bonus that you get because they have such high HP, and their damage is already pretty good. So definitely experiment with this guy.
Yeah, if you're not picking front line.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's definitely the way to go. Makoa, Ash, having so much fun with them. This one has a voice pack too, so let's listen to the Jotun voice pack for Terminus here.
I smell man blood. You lot don't belong
seconds
Just a
remaining.
bit cold-blooded. I once killed a gulag with just my little piggy. I will destroy you! So long.
15 seconds remaining.
Well, that was Yoke
Nine,
Terminus, and
eight,
pretty exciting stuff. I think he said,
seven,
I once killed a gulag with my
6,
pinky.
5,
So,
4,
I don't know what a gulag is.
3,
That either says a lot
2,
about the gulags, or
1.
that says a lot about Terminus. I think probably more about Terminus because, you know, the brother is bad, as you could see. And great skin for him. Obviously, you saw a little bit of the Lex Wrecked Stingers that will be available in that new Wrecked chest as it releases in this patch. But joining me now, we have two new faces. Old faces, but new faces again. And a little bit of a surprise for you all who may not have seen his change and adjustment here into the Paladins realm. We got Kevin Adonis Meyer.
How's it going, Evan?
Good, man. Good to have you here.
I know I'm back on camera again.
Back
It's
on
been
camera.
it's been a little bit.
You're really rusty.
It's been a minute.
Man. I gotta
know.
say, extremely
rusty. I've only said a single line
yeah,
so far.
I know. That's
That
how
was-
bad it
that
is.
was a little
James,
quick,
even James knows. It's a little rough. It's okay. We'll get you up to speed. James,
It's good to be here, but
Kevin said, "Don't."
Man, I'm
mess
getting
with
burned
me.
already.
Kevin
I
said,
did-
"Don't
say
mess with
this."
me" when he gets on cast. So I said, "I have to mess with him in some
Yep.
way." And of course, we got James Kret Horgan here, one of our designers, and again, Kevin taking that designing role, jumping into the ropes with James and Garrett and Charles. How are things going, guys?
Things are going good. I'm
Yeah,
very excited.
exciting.
I think I jumped on to the correct patch to jump onto.
Yes,
you know,
sir.
start of 2018. We got Battlegrounds coming out. A lot of big changes, a lot of balance adjustments that we're going to be covering too.
I mean, you've been hyped for it, man. Like, I got a message from you at Sunday, like at midnight. You're like, "Yo,
oh
you
yeah,
wanna
last
play?"
night. It
I'm
was like
like-
11:45. I'm like, yeah, let's jump in some
I'm like,
BGs real
"Kevin,
quick.
I gotta get my beauty sleep." Like,
yeah.
what?
How can
Yeah,
this
you need a little bit more
I
than me.
know.
It's okay.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, no, I think you've been getting plenty.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
Well-
hard to be this beautiful and still do all the work that James does.
I can't
you.
Somehow
rock the
manages
bald.
it.
Bald is
I would.
beautiful.
He does it so well.
I got lucky. I started balding at 17, man. So this is the
You've
only
been, you've been
path.
rocking it for long
You
enough.
can say you're a
Yeah,
trailblazer,
yeah.
so to speak. Yeah. You know, bug fixes. Let's talk about that, but we also want to talk about the new UI that's coming in. So this is kind of the bug, the balance section, the UI section.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously there's a new UI approaching. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so this is your main lobby. So you're gonna launch the game, log in, and you're gonna arrive here, and it's got some changes. So on the right-hand side, you'll be able to see your heads up for your champion win of the days, your daily quests, and we just tried to make things a little bit more
Readable.
readable and also like accessible, right? Like you want the information right up front where you need it. And this is part of our ongoing push to just, you know, evaluate and improve our UI going forward, especially throughout the next year.
Yeah,
That's
this is
something
just-
that Larson's really excited about.
Yeah,
Exactly.
I think Larson even mentioned it. This is just the first step. It's, I believe, just the landing page for this.
That's correct.
This patch, so you can expect more of that in the upcoming patches. Further adjustments to the UI.
Yeah, awesome. You'll notice a little bit of a cleaner look, as they did mention, so check that out when you download and play OB66 if you haven't already. Of course, that's not out, but again, make sure if you haven't downloaded Paladins, you check that out. We've got bug fixes, too, and there's a lot to cover, but
Yeah.
let's get into the marquee ones because I think people will know that this was a huge kind of investment from the team. They've heard so much feedback from all of you who have said, we really want this game's polish to increase, and that has been heard, and that has been adjusted. Trust me. We're only going to mention a few. Go to the patch notes and the forums.paladins.com to check those out later on today and see how many went through. I don't think you'll get through all
It's
of them.
over 75.
I don't think you'll get
There's
through
a
all of
lot.
them. I'm betting you skip to the next section before you read all of them, but you will have a chance to if you really care. Some of the marquee ones, though, let's talk about this. This was really important. You fixed a bug where chickens could reload, which is impossible because they don't have opposable thumbs.
Yeah, they don't have thumbs. How are you going to reload a assault rifle? It's ridiculous.
I still would like to claim that was a feature. Should have left that.
Totally intended.
Yeah,
Totally
but no,
intended.
it was a bug. When you're polymorphed, you are disarmed, so you shouldn't be able to reload your weapon. So now you can't.
Yeah.
And it was a little weird that like if you're polymorphed by Pitbull or by Battlegrounds Chicken, that like you should reload just because you have nothing else to do. So
Yeah. Stop them
Clean
from
that up.
doing that. That got cleaned up. We also addressed an issue that caused Grok to be immune to death in unintended ways when the Wraith Legendary has been equipped.
right, yeah, this legendary, it's been trouble. We like what it does, what it brings to Grok, and we're just trying to clean up all of the situations in which that Grok can be in a weird, like unkillable but not dead state.
Sure.
So that should hopefully be better. But you know, if there are any other situations where that happens, let us know, and we'll continue to make sure that this legendary functions as best as it can.
Awesome. Now, Kevin, I've seen you playing supports. I don't know
Yep.
if you're a frontline main as well, but we fixed a bug with Makoa's Ancient Resolve card that caused his Shell Shield to last shorter than intended. So that'll be lasting a little bit longer if you are running Makoa and BGs.
Yeah, just a couple edge cases, just like the Wraith Legendary, where it was giving Grok a little bit of damage immunity, just trying to make sure that these abilities are really just acting as intended. That's something that we want to take heavy priority on, especially when looking at bugs. Obviously, there's a lot to clean up, a lot we have cleaned up in this patch, so ability things that are a little bit off and not consistent into what a player expects are a heavy focus for us this patch.
Absolutely.
Seems that way. We've also fixed the bug where Fernando's shield wouldn't be canceled when affected by some crowd control abilities, such as a fear.
Yeah. So if
Maldama's Dreadstone.
you Maldama ult him, right, like that's when you want to go in and you want to deal damage to those tanks,
Right.
Because they're defenseless, and Fernando wasn't. So
Wow.
it was not intended, and unfortunately, his shield will now drop. The Fernando can be shot in the face, but just by resilience, you'll be fine.
Yeah, Fernando's always trying to live up to the "I will not die, not yet, amigo"
Yeah.
kind of adage that he keeps on, and so he'll find ways. We'll get him though. Fernando
right.
getting brought back into check there. We've also, this is a big one, guys, fixed an inconsistent delay in Eevee's blink.
Yeah, this one was
The Eevee blink bug.
This one was pretty annoying. I remember when I first joined the team a few weeks ago, and people were talking about it, and then we were like, "Oh, let's show it." And we watched a bunch of streams. Definitely something that it took a little bit. It took a few heavy minds to be able to figure out, but they sorted through it. So we're excited that this one won't be occurring anymore.
Yep.
The blink needs to be smooth and feel good for the player. So
That's right. So
clean that up.
Yeah, this issue, it would happen a lot. It was very consistent, and we were able to resolve it. So, you're playing online, right? There are still situations where maybe you lag or whatever, but by and large, Blink should work better almost all the time.
Awesome to hear for you Eevee players. I know I am one, and I'm excited, so
Yeah.
thank you guys. We fixed a bug also where interrupting Leon's reload with her ult fire, that Valor, would cause her to not reload, but still let the player try to fire.
This one was super weird.
That's a weird
The
interaction.
reports that we got were, I don't know why, but I can't fire when I'm playing Leon. And it turned out it was just this weird state with her reload where you'd have 0 ammo, but you would think you had ammo so you could fire. We tracked it down. We fixed it. Leon should now be able to use her gun when she thinks she can use her gun.
And it's quite a large gun,
Yeah.
It
to
is.
not be able to fire out of that would be
It's kind of
It's very
rough.
disappointing.
Yeah, exactly. You have all the, I don't know, all the what's it called, posturing when you bring that into a fight, and then it's like, oh, it doesn't work. Oh. Okay, never mind. Fix the bug where sometimes Maeve would respawn in the air. My God, this has been around
Bane
for
of my
a
existence.
You
long
sorted this one
time.
out. Did you? Was
it
it you or
took-
Charles who figured this one out?
I figured this one out. I just spent some time, and we got it. We finally got it.
Wonderful.
I've hid this bug for a long time.
And then one more, guys. Fix the bug with Talus's Raging Demon Legendary where the duration increase was longer than intended. So
Yep.
that'll be a little shorter and more at the
It'll be what
correct
it's supposed to
time.
be.
Yeah, what it's
It
supposed
was
to be.
it was too strong. He was able to shoot fast with infinite ammo for way too long.
Well, it's time to get into the balance, guys. I'm excited. You guys ready? Let's do it.
Yeah.
Let's
oh,
do
and
it.
check out the other.
But yes, please
yeah,
do.
there's over 75.
I
This was just 8.
mentioned this.
The featured 8.
That was just 8, but there are so many others. And again, it's a showcase of how the team is kind of with this new direction, really going into trying to polish this game, make it the best that it possibly can be for everyone, because that's really what we're here for, to make a great game and to continue making that game better, thanks to your feedback. So thank you guys so much. Androxus, let's get into him. He's starting things off. He's getting a couple of touches in a nice way. He's getting some increased maximum health from 2,000 to 2,100, and he's also seeing his reversal cooldown lowered from 16 seconds to 14 seconds at base.
Yeah, so what it came down to, Androxus can do so well when he's piloted by a really good player.
Yeah.
But he dies a ton, and he just wasn't really that safe. And we want to give players a better opportunity to get that good with him, right?
Right.
So we're going to make him a little bit more survivable, increase his maximum health, and with reversal, hopefully give him a more consistent way to defend himself.
Yeah, as a flank champion, when he gets to that back line, you want him to be able to stand toe-to-toe with most people in a 1v1, and the drop in reversal, so it's a little bit more up consistently, as well as the slight increase to health should make those 1v1s, when you're able to get to that back line, a little bit more consistent.
Definitely will help him, and so Androxus players, look out for that one. We've got another change coming to Buck. This is an interesting one. We're increasing the animation time on recovery by half a second. And I think the intention of this is probably just to be able to not shoot, pop, shoot. And maybe take a little bit more of a conscious decision to heal rather than still doing the same amount of damage.
It just was too free, right? Shoot, pop, shoot. And you didn't actually lose any time. You didn't lose any damage. Now, you still got a great heal, But when you use it, you're sacrificing your damage output for that period of time. It's a little bit extended so that players can take action against it, right? Like they can use that to move away from you or to CC you or something like that.
Exactly.
So hopefully there's more counterplay.
It's a very minor change, but sometimes all it comes down to in situations is, you know, who gets that last shot off.
Yeah.
And that should allow players to have a little bit more of an ability to counter Buck when they are in those spots.
And I think more just for Buck players to think more how
Yes.
they engage and when they use their skills, and just more conscious gameplay rather than just being a beefcake going in there, healing, shooting. Whatever comes up, I'm able to deal with it. Buck, recovery, that's a pretty good combo. Check out the new changes for that. It should be good to play against and still play. Cassie, she's getting an adjustment. Now, we've talked about her a lot in these last few weeks because she had a legendary called Just Breathe, which was just breathing all over everybody in the realm very effectively. And now that's seeing a little bit of an adjustment here. Let's go through it. Damage scaling now occurs between 70 feet and 150 feet instead of the 0 feet to 150 feet. So it will now have a base distance before it starts to scale and increase that damage. Just Breathe was previously mislabeled as units instead of feet. That's something to note. And the level 1 damage has been decreased from 42% to 22%, while the level 10 damage has been decreased from 65% to 40%. So what's the goal with this?
So I think one of the main goals with Cassie is, you know, when you load into any match with a paladin or a champion in Paladins, you want to be able to have different play styles, not only just for a player themselves to enjoy, whether it's focusing on your weapon shots or some of your abilities, but also just to have the ability to counter kind of different situations that are appearing. You know, who am I playing against? Do I need to be shredding front lines or dealing more with flanks? And right now, Just Breathe was the clear choice in almost every single situation. It was just a huge flat damage increase, and that's not really what we wanted. Interesting enough, Cassie actually doesn't even have that high of a win rate, but Just Breathe was so polarizing that it really felt impactful and powerful.
Yeah, absolutely. When you look at the highest level of play, it was used like 97% of the time,
absurdly.
which is, that's a lot. I mean,
Doesn't surprise me, though. But
yeah, it was very good, and it was good in every situation. So now we want it to still be strong, but it's strong when you're playing that Cassie from range, when you're landing those downtown shots, and then if you're getting up close, maybe you're going to look for, you know, damage after roll or damage on your blast shot, depending on whether you want to duel and be mobile or whatever.
Yeah, I think the purpose of this is to make this card positioned as a long-range damage increase, right? If you're picking this legendary, you want to be a little bit further back, and so having that 70 foot before the damage starts scaling really emphasizes that play style and allows you, like James said, to go for other legendaries depending on your situation. And then obviously the damage scaling was pretty significant, so that's been brought down as well.
Yeah, so that'll be adjusted, and, you know, Cassie also seeing some base adjustments. I think the key with her is even before Just Breathe, it was Exaction, and Exaction was the high play rate that everyone pretty much always defaulted to. So again, looking to level out those legendaries and make them a little bit more enticing for new players to try all of them and change their play styles. Cassie's seeing a base health increase by 100 health, 2200 to 2300. She's also seeing increased base damage from 650 to 680. So Just Breathe nerf, but base damage increase. Blast Shot, this is a big one. Blast Shot, kind of a slow projectile. Now getting a projectile speed increase and no longer reducing healing. Some of those cards that she has changing, like Kinetics, Kevin, now reduces healing by 9% per rank. What's the impact from that change?
The big one on this is really just to keep this ability as flexible as possible for players. So now you'll be a little bit more consistent hitting it with an increased projectile speed, but also removing the healing from it means that if you want to go then anti-healing, now you can spec into a loadout that has kinetics that is now a little bit more effective. And if you're using a different style or playing a different style, you can just be using it as a damage increase instead of having this weird thing where you don't know if you should use it or wait to use it in a certain situation for your team where you want it to anti-heal. Now it's very specific in if you want to go the anti-healing route, you go this Kinetics card.
Yeah, and that's consistent with our other champions that have anti-healing on cards. And then speaking of consistency, base Cassie was not performing very well. Just Breathe was giving her life, but without that card, she was not doing well. So we're going to try and bring her up and make sure that she's in a good spot because Cassie's so much fun, right? Like the rolling and the shooting, she's got great flow. we want to make sure that that's a viable option for our players.
It's also important to note that the damage scaling decrease on Just Breathe is not as heavy of a hit as it initially seems. It's still a significant hit, but the increase in the base damage will apply to that scaling as well, so it's not as massive of a drop. I think it's a little bit more than 100 at the top end of your hits that'll be taken off.
So hopefully the card will still be viable
yes.
When used in the correct situation.
Gotcha.
But, you know, buck in your face, not going to get
not as widely applicable. Exactly. You have to make some more choices. Fernando, the Realm. He is one of these staple characters, the big guy with the big shield, and now he's getting a treatment to his ultimate that's going to allow him to save his teammates even more because it doesn't require line of sight.
Yeah, it just felt a little weird, right? Like, he's got this big glowing aura around him. It encompasses, you know, basically an entire fighting space, right? And sometimes it was confusing, and you'd be like, oh, I'm safe, but you actually weren't because you couldn't see Fernando.
You're behind the box, you know.
And he couldn't use it exactly when he wanted to because maybe he wasn't in the right spot. So now it's more versatile. It's still very strong, and hopefully it'll, you know, just feel better to use.
And yeah, and just from a player perspective that's receiving it as well, there's now no more confusion for you.
Right.
I think we noticed that. I think I was confused as well a little bit. I'm like, oh, I'm in the circle. I've damaged you. No, I'm not.
There's a box in the way.
There's a box in the way.
Yeah.
So it's just gonna feel. It's just gonna feel better. And I think that's one of the key aspects to this change is we want to make sure abilities feel good from the base level.
Right. Well, I got some talking to do about Eevee if we have a for next patch because that blink I could sneeze farther than I blink at base for Eevee. I'll tell you that right now.
You've got a very powerful sneeze.
I've seen him.
My sneeze ain't that great. I'm telling you, I can walk. I'll walk faster than the distance I blink on the base Eevee blink. Grok, let's talk about him. 2,500 health, very tanky guy. One of the better champions. Win rate rise, not in terms of supports, in terms of all of Paladins.
Yes.
Yeah.
He's getting a little bit of a takedown here. 2,500 health to 2,400. Also, the healing totem reduced from 1,500 health to 1,000. So a little bit less of a indestructible kind of totem that he's got there. I want to go through his legendary changes too. We can talk about it collectively. His legendary Totemic Ward is getting a decrease in healing buff to that totem by 10%. So that extra healing will be reduced by 10%. And he's also getting an internal cooldown to Wraith, bringing it back up to that 45 seconds it initially was from the 30 seconds it currently is.
Right. So, as you said, Grok's very good. One of the best champions in the game in almost every situation. He's very hard to kill, and he does a ton of damage. I mean, he's competitive with the marquee damage champions.
7, 8, somewhere around there?
Right. Like, you know, you could get Drogos, you could get Leon.
What's Grok
or you could
not
just
good
play
at?
Grok,
Yeah.
right? Because he can heal too. So, we wanted to make him a little bit more vulnerable. First by reducing his health, but also making his healing totem more readily killable. I remember talking to Pretty Hair about one game he had where his team was all direct damage and there was a Grok. And they couldn't kill the totem because there were always people standing in front of it, so they just couldn't hit it. Well, now, when you do get that opportunity to shoot the totem, it'll go down a little bit faster, and Grok players will have to invest into cards if they want to keep that totem alive long.
Yeah, I think he's, in his current state, unique to a lot of the other sport champions, and we really like that. You know, his healing is very window-based, but incredibly powerful, especially in teamfight scenarios, and then again, the hit to Wraith, because of survivability, Grok just doesn't die, he has, you know, damage immunity.
Yep.
Right.
And so when looking at, you know, what we kind of wanted to adjust to bring him in line with the other supports, we liked his identity, that he's doing a little bit more damage, that he's great at objective control, and that he has this healing window. But we wanted, I think, players to be able to counter it when that window appears instead of having to choose between, you know, if you're shooting champions, they're just getting, they're healing through it a lot of the times. And so if you are able to kill that totem quick enough, that is that ability for you to counter it in a team fight.
Definitely. Makes a lot of sense, too. Maybe we'll make Bulldozer a lot of champions really not able to one-shot that. So now maybe if it's at 1,000 health, you have a 900
We want
damage
Bulldozer
shot.
to be able to get the job done if you
Sure.
choose to invest in it.
Sure, absolutely. So that's going to be an impact for Grok next patch. We've also got Grover getting a bit of a base damage adjustment going from, I believe, 330 to 300 at his base. He will still scale up off of that, not only with his own base kit, but also with Ferocity if you choose that legendary. The adjustment to Efflorescence, however, is seeing a reduction in the passive healing radius, being no longer scalable with level. Now, it also increases the passive healing radius by 50% to make that bigger, but again, losing that kind of level scaling to it.
Right, so this was just one of the few legendaries of the game that scaled 2 numbers, and that was out of whack, that was out of line, so now it only scales 1. Should still be very good. I mean, 50% radius increase is nothing to sneeze at.
Cool.
As for the damage, Grover just does a ton of damage, man. It was a little out of line, so we just toned it down a little bit, and it still scales, so he's still going to do good damage from range.
You're going to see a lot of Grovers in Battlegrounds. I already know we've seen Kevin rocking the full Grover squad, chasing us down, and, he hurts. So definitely expect to see this guy brought a little bit more into line from the damage perspective, still able to do quite a bit for a support, as all our supports do, and still be a lot of fun to play. We have a lot to cover, so I want to move on to some more stuff. Kinessa's got a big treatment here, and, of course, let's take a look at it. Decrease the fall off in her carbine mode is the first change that's happening, so she's going to be doing more damage from hopefully farther away with that initial shot, not the scoped in, and also increase the initial accuracy of carbine mode. When you say that, it makes a lot of sense. I feel like once you start shooting, you might miss a few times and then start to get it down. So that's going to be increased. She's also seeing an increase in ammo from 20 to 24. The other change that's happening is to her oppressive mines, and this is a pretty large, sweeping, more design change in terms of how you guys want it to function. I'll let you talk about that once I kind of lay out what's happening. You're removing the bonus damage from hitting enemies affected by oppressor mines with your carbine, your non-scoped in Kinessa rifle. This no longer applies to slow, and it also will have itself a damage increase from 20 to 100 per second, and increasing the velocity of the mine thrown. So they're more, probably I would expect, the way Vivian throws her sentry.
Yeah, they go further
at that speed. So now they're more damage tools rather than utility tools to increase damage via your carbine.
It's a secondary damage source, right? Like, so if you're a pressure mine, you just want them to be ticking on people, contributing some damage to the team to sort of help out. And then we wanted to give options for utility to the Kinessa player, whereas baseline is just damage, and then you see the numbers, and you know where people are. But you could get a card that gives healing reduction through the mines, or we've changed the legendary, so now that will give you the damage increase when people are linked to the mine.
Suppression right now giving you 2% starting at 22, more damage to affected targets when you're in sniper mode.
Yeah, exactly. So you get a lot of damage on those people, and since those mines are hitting 3 people, 100 damage per second on 3 targets, that actually does add up.
I'm pretty sure this is going to be good. And I know we have to get that slab and check it out, but I mean, Kevin, also some of these cards are changing to adjust for this, adding some ammo for regeneration for when you throw those out. Obviously, the enemies affected by oppressor mine can also take some debuffs like reduced healing and increasing the range of these. This is just kind of, again, to bring some of that utility into them if you want to build into the cards.
Yeah, Octopressor is going to be there for the anti-healing as well as well-stocked card for the ammo. Another reason for this change, I think, is there was some frustration from maybe not for the Kinessa player, obviously, because you're not the one getting slowed, but specifically well-placed mines in certain parts of maps. The slow happens, and it can be a little bit frustrating. It can be very frustrating, actually, for players. And I think this, design-wise, kind of repurposes it as that secondary damage tool if someone gets up close. So now you not only have the carbine mode, but also these mines that are going to be ticking for more damage, so you can engage people, although a little bit more strategically, when you're in frontline fights as a sniper rifle.
Throw them on the point, and they're going to contribute damage to your team. And then, as we mentioned earlier, your carbine should just be feeling better to use.
Great.
This also comes, I don't know if we mentioned it, but it comes with an aesthetic change as well.
Yes, through the new weapon.
Yes.
So a lot of new sweeping changes for Kinessa. She's a lot of fun in Battlegrounds, one of my favorite champions, as well as Strix. Snipers are a ton of fun. So this should make her even more poignant, and also, I think, exciting for new players to check out and try in this new mode. Now, moving on to one of the oldest, baddest dudes in the realm, Maldamba. He has been dominating Battlegrounds. Anywhere else, as always, maybe not from a play rate perspective, but just when you do the right things at the right time, he's almost impossible to take down. And one of the things that was adding to that was his 1v1 potential with Wakono's Curse, this legendary that basically went through shields of enemy players, went through Androxus Reversal, did a ton of damage, and was hit scan across anywhere in the map. That's seeing a bit of an adjustment, lowering those values from 595 to 440 at level 1, and at level 10 from 910 to 800.
Yeah, we really like the idea of a healing character having an option to contribute damage to his team. That's interesting, and potentially opens up some interesting situations in the draft where maybe you take Maldamba on your team to deprive the healer, but also then use him as a damage threat, right? That's very cool. But it was too good. It was doing too much damage.
It's pretty good.
So we've toned that down a little bit. So especially up close when he's using both Wakono's Curse and his Snake's Spit.
Oh man,
you're not gonna you're not going to be as potent, but still should be a strong option for people who do like the playstyle.
And from what I understand, too, intentionally not supposed to go through.
Yes, yeah, that is a
shield.
bug
Yeah.
that'll be listed along with all the other bug fixes in the patch.
Okay.
It will not go through shields.
It will not go through enemy shields. So
Yes.
Androxus, you put that reversal up. Fernando, you put that up. You will be safe
Yeah.
from the
Yes.
long-range sniping snake.
Yes.
Okay, that is good to know. We've also got another healer who's been a ton of fun and always one of everybody's favorites, the Volpine Pip himself. He's seeing a card adjusted, which has always been a really interesting give-and-take card, Escape Artist. It's now being reworked and just giving you a flat 3% damage reduction, plus 3% every level during your waitlist.
Yeah, it could have powerful results, obviously, because it had massive damage reduction. But
Yeah.
it just, from a player wanting to
Not being able to fire. as
not
a
being able to
result.
fire and canceling it out, or say you accidentally fire, especially if you're a new player joining Paladins,
Right.
and maybe you spec this card, and it can be a little bit of a breaking feel to how Pip traditionally is played, and I think this is just going to allow the card to just feel better when you do run it.
Yeah, I mean, you said give and take, and we think that's interesting, but in this case, the cost was too high,
Yeah.
and going deeper into the damage reduction sort of feels like it wouldn't be enough, right? Like,
Right.
it could be 100%, but I still want to shoot
I
during
still want
waitlist.
to. Now that we can use all our abilities during
Yeah,
waitlist,
exactly.
you want that to be a free-flowing experience. So that'll be cool. I actually think that will start to be probably looked at. Pip's got a lot of great cards, which is why
Yeah.
if something's not great, it's hard to pick it up in your other ones. But very cool adjustment. Check that out coming in OB66. Shaolin, he's seeing some adjustments too, and we're getting towards the end of this, so stay with us. I know it's a lot of changes, but hey, we haven't been here for a while. Withdraw no longer leaves an illusion of Shaolin. Overcharge now, Heat Haze no longer also leaves illusions of Shaolin and instead reveals him for 0.5 seconds. So talk to us about this sweeping change and the purpose of this.
Clarity. It just comes down to clarity, right? He was summoning these illusions. It wasn't clear what they did. They didn't really have any gameplay impact. They were meant to be a tell, but in the end, I think it ended up confusing players more. And the Heat Haze change, it actually looks really cool.
Yes.
So there's
I'm
just,
sure it
like an
does.
arrow flies out of thin air, and you just see Shaolin like shimmer as he fades away again. But it also gives you something to respond to, right? Because you see him, you have that half second to make that reaction,
Right.
where you actually have something to aim at, as opposed to like trying to do math in your head to be like, oh, he's moving this direction, so he's here.
Yeah.
It'll feel better, and it's a lot more clear.
Yeah, that makes sense to me as well. And I kind of skipped over through to the next one. And Kev, you can kind of help us round that out. Talus, Blitz Upper, seeing an increased cooldown from 8 seconds to 10 seconds, and Overcharge seeing an increased cooldown from 8 seconds to 10 seconds. What's the aim with this?
Yeah, so, I read a bunch of feedback on Talus and players complaining about, obviously his high burst potential.
Yeah.
We actually intended to put Talus kind of in that realm of a character, right? This window-based character where when you activate your abilities, you are going to almost, you're going to be able to, if you can isolate someone, you can get that 1v1, and you're winning it a lot of the times, especially as a flank character. But this was happening just very often. 8 seconds, you'd be able to continuously do this back and forth. So we like the idea of Talus being this, I'm going to isolate you within this small window and be able to 1v1 you, but it was just happening a little bit too often. So to start off, we're just bumping the cooldowns on Blitz Upper and Overcharge to 10 seconds. So small adjustment, but we think this will have a pretty significant impact on his gameplay.
And I mean, James, having been in the backseat of designing Talus, obviously an interesting character because not every character can launch, have a kind of tricky kit, and then still somehow succeed at the pro level, then achieve kind of a lot of people playing him, and then be very successful from that point. But Talus has been able to do that, so I feel pretty confident, and I think you guys do, that Talus will still be a viable
He'll
option.
be just as strong. He just won't be as strong as frequently, right? Because we're actually really happy with what he can do when he's having his moment.
Yeah.
But he was just always ready, and that was the problem. There was never a point where you feel like, okay, Talus he's used his resources, and now I can take a really good fight with him.
Gotcha. Well, we're rounding things out here. We're at the V, and that stands for Victor, of course. Frag Grenade, getting an increase to the projectile speed. Just want to be able to throw it faster? Throw it farther?
Yeah, throw it further.
All
He's
right.
got a stronger arm. He's been working out.
He's got some good shrapnel legendaries as well.
I think it'll it's going to make that legendary and some of the card options a lot more viable. It seems like a small change, but I think players who get used to the new projectile speed will really be able to utilize it, because I think you're setting yourself up to be a little bit more consistent in that damage. Players can't prepare if they see the grenade coming, or they can prepare, but it's just a smaller window for them to react.
Very, very cool stuff. Of course, Willow. This is another champion that's always such an interesting look. And a couple things that I don't know if we want to mention the voice thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, we do.
So it's not in here, but Willow has actually, as a result of player feedback, received a new default voice.
Yeah, we got feedback that her voice was annoying, and
You just going to really throw it out there. You're really throwing it out there.
it was annoying and it was frustrating. We liked it because it sort of fit her character.
Yeah.
But it was. So we've made some changes. We've got a different voice that still hopefully is Willow, still has that character and that
Trickster,
personality,
fun.
but should just be a little bit less grating.
Well, she's also getting, along with that, she's also getting a couple of changes to Dead Zone. And there's a couple of bug fixes in here, but overall, this is a buff. Fix a bug where Dead Zone projectile would not properly deal damage if it didn't directly hit. So if you wondered, I'm taking Nightshade, why is it not hitting? It's because you had to directly impact them. Otherwise, it wouldn't do any damage. Now that will, and anybody who steps in that will take damage. But if they're hit by Dead Zone, it will have fall off from the center of
That's
that
correct.
actual ability.
And to be clear, that this damage is only when the projectile actually detonates and becomes the dead zone. So it's only in that moment.
Okay, not a persistent.
It's
active
not
damage.
persistent. No,
Gotcha.
it's in that instant.
Gotcha.
And then it will have damage fall off based on how far away you are from the center, just to make sure that you're not on the very edge and you're taking the full blast and
Right.
losing half your health.
Exactly. Well, that's what Willow does, kind of. Taking, gives
true.
you out full blast that take away half or more of your health. That's kind of her thing. And also fixing a bug in the description that indicated Seedling did 500 damage instead of 400. So that will be clearer for all of you players. Last balance change, guys, in OB66. Ying is actually getting a buff. Can you believe it? All my Ying, I don't know what I have to say. This is a moment. Do we have to take a moment of silence here?
Is there anyone you'd like to thank?
I just want to thank the design team. I want to thank myself for proving that this was a good buff in playtest by whooping both of you consistently.
It was scary, man. It was scary.
I'm so excited for Ying players because you guys have been wanting some love to one of your favorite supports, one of the oldest and most iconic supports in the game. And she is getting some love. Let me clarify.
She was actually, I think, my first favorite character.
Sorry. Girlfriend?
No.
Okay.
Can't talk about that.
I'm
I'm
not
passionate.
trying-
It's
yeah.
inappropriate.
My bad.
But no, she's definitely one of my favorite characters, especially when I was testing Paladins before it was even announced publicly years ago. So I'm actually very excited for these changes too.
Well, let's talk about it. Illusory Mirror thought it, never didn't really fire far enough. Weren't happy with the 100 units that it traveled. Well, how about not 200 units? How about 300? 300 units. That Illusory Mirror was going to be hitting cross map, ladies and gentlemen. Let me tell you, and it is a ton of fun. The damage fall off still begins at 100 feet, so you will not really be tickling people. It'll still be decent damage, especially if you take focusing lens and hit all 5 shots. But this is a huge change in keeping Ying in the fight all the time and being able to heal from a safe distance, like a lot of other healers that she's competing against. Legendary Cards Life Exchange also has a reduction to the cooldown of Shatter by 1 second, but really, it's all about this damage from the weapon.
This is a big feeling thing too, because as a support player, a lot of times you're typically in the back of a fight, but you'd still like to contribute damage, especially in Paladins where everyone is doing damage.
Right.
We are a shooter. We want everyone to actively participate in these fights. But Ying specifically, who's placing illusions and then sometimes even going further back, there was a lot of times where you're just not able to engage and you're missing out a lot of I think, fun in matches a lot of times without having to put yourself in an awkward position or get a little bit too close. So the 300 feet is going to allow you to still actively participate in fights and in extended engagements or longer range engagements on certain maps while still being able to sit from that safe distance and heal and do what you're supposed to do, as a Ying player, as someone who's looking to heal and support the team.
And it should be less confusing too, right? Like there are definitely times where you can see someone and they're just too far away,
and
you're still shooting at them.
Am I hitting?
And you're waiting for them to get close enough. Now you're going to be able to hit them from almost any range. For clarity, it's the same range as Tyra's assault rifle.
Right.
So
Ceres's Mortal Reach legendary.
Yep. So if you can shoot him with Tyra, you can shoot him with Ying now.
Well, that's exciting stuff, and of course, everybody loves to shoot in a first-person shooter.
That's the goal.
I gotta say, that's probably something that people are gonna enjoy. Guys, that wraps up the balance changes. That almost wraps up the show. We've got one more thing we want to let you know before we kick off OB66, get the PTS rolling live, and of course, as it's been, of course, launched to you guys tomorrow, which is very, very exciting. We have a Mixer show that's going to be talking all about Paladins coming up, and so if you are not familiar with the platform of the show, it's mixer.com/mixer. Mixer LFG, looking for group. It's a cool show. They're going to talk about Paladins Battlegrounds. It's taking place on March 2nd at 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. Pacific time. So if you're on the East Coast time, you're high-res time essentially. It is 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. It's a 2-hour show. Paladins Battlegrounds will be discussed. Check it out. Mixer.com/mixer looking for group LFG. And that is going to be it for that. Guys, James, Kevin, thank you so much for being on this portion of the show. I mean, anything you want to say? PTS is obviously live until we launch tomorrow live. So play Paladins Battlegrounds now.
Yep.
Yeah.
Go on the forums, leave us your feedback, bug reports. We'll be checking there for all sorts of stuff.
Yeah, I think the community team also has set up a special sub-forum just for Battlegrounds.
Oh, beautiful, beautiful.
Bug reporting and feedback, so make sure to get every little thing in that you see. This is definitely still in an alpha state, but we're excited to kind of let a mass amount of players get to try it here with the release of 66.
Expect some bugs, expect a few things, but we know you're going to love it. We get more feedback, we get more players, and it's ready to go. So we're excited to show you OB66's Paladins Battlegrounds and all the new changes and cosmetics coming out soon. As always, my friends, from everyone here at Hi Res Studios, thanks so much for watching. As always, remember to never give up, never stop gaming, and we'll see you all in the realm.